So how to improvise? I don't think there's one exact right way. There's ways, and it depends on the student and what resonates with them. This resonates with me, and has worked the best for me. So this is how I approach it and how I teach it. So, nutshell, kind of set up what we're going to talk about here. There are various aspects of music, and they're all important. For example, rhythm. I mean, super important. If you can't snap your fingers to it, you can't dance to it. Early on, that's what jazz was all about. Jazz music and everything that's comes after it is, has that rhythmic pulse. Of course, you can't take rhythm out of Beethoven either, or Bach, or Mozart or anything. So rhythm certainly has a very strong part to play in music. So does harmony. I mean, that's, I think, why the guitar is so alluring, at least to me, and so seductive, is that the harmony can really, once the first thing you do is you learn to play chords, and then you're smitten. So many different ways you can be seduced by harmony. It's hard to talk. I love it so much. So we can spend a lot of time just doing that. Okay, but the whole point of me bringing this up is, in the hierarchy, in my mind, melody carries the most weight. So I'm singling out one element here. And I'm not just speaking of melody as we normally think about it being in the highest register. Melody can be in the middle voice. It also can be in the lower voice. Now, that goes to another issue right now. And so this is I'd say more of an advanced lesson, or intermediate to advanced. At least the concepts are going to be more understood by players that have had some time to understand what the caged system is. If you don't know what that is, check out my videos on the caged system. They're solid, I think, and they have good graphics. I think it will teach you what that is. And by the way, I've seen, a variety of comments and online about, some players denigrate the cage system, etc. I learned it from Joe Pass, and if it's good enough for Joe Pass, it's good enough for me. So that's the way I look at it. So check out those videos. So that's the first thing you need to know. And then also being able to play not just with a pick, but also with maybe pick and fingers, or fingers. And you'll see I play with fingers. So that way you can bring out those lines. We're not just talking about cowboy chords and strumming stuff like this. We're a little more advanced in that. So if you feel like this is too advanced for you, check out some of those other things and then come back later, or just check out the concepts are good. I think solid here. And I've learned all kinds, hey, play scales. I'm not saying don't play scales. They say, okay, play modes. I'm not saying don't do that. But there's no music in a scale. Okay? There's no melody in a scale. Melodies are derived from scales and pitches that move stepwise. It draws our ear, So if you play a note, for example, and then you move that note, then you're playing a scale of some sort, and it begs the question, what's the next note? Am I going higher, or if I'm going lower? Now we got something that's telling us something. How about we're going to go here? Right, that makes sense. So we could do something like, sounded like a little familiar melody there for a second. I think maybe a Christmas tune or something like that. All right. And so when you play a note and then you play another note, that's another way. That's actually more of how I approach improvisation and exploring the guitar personally. So we'll get to that after we do these exercises. So let's get straight to this now. Fly Me to the Moon. So we're going to pick a tune. This is a great one because it has, really standard kind of structure. We're moving from the 6 to the 2 to the 5 to the 1 chord, tonicizing in the 4. Pretty, straightforward standard music changes. So we can, and it moves around the cycle of fourths or fifths, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So we're going to use this. In other words, it's once we learn it here, we can learn it everywhere. Once we learn it here, we won't be reinventing the wheel. And in a lot of other tunes will use the same chord progression, maybe in a different key, etc. So your fingers will start to learn this stuff. Okay, so first thing you do is you learn the melody. That's the number one thing, right? Melodically driven approach. So right? And so I can pick any position. So that's the other thing. You need to learn the melody in all the positions. Oh. So I'm just speeding up through it because I feel like I spent too much time talking. But so that's a position that is, when you're down here next to the nut, that's a position that is wedded. It's glued to that nut because you're using open strings. So whenever you can, you want to learn to play it without open strings as well. So you can then, if you need to change it to another key or whatever, you can do so. So anyways, so here's that melody in this, we'll call it the second position, right around there. The next place we can get it is, so that was right here second, so the next octave we can get it is right here. Get it right here in this position, that's fifth. Again, there's another octave, so if we play this, if we play the C major scale, major scale is kind of right there in that position as well. That one goes like this. All right, I'm not going to finish it off there, but then the next position is right here. Okay, right, and the next position is actually here. Now, of course, these can connect. Oh. So I'm moving positions, so you want to be able to connect positions. That's another thing. But I'm just showing you where the different iterations of this particular melody can be found. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Easy peasy. Now, don't get overwhelmed. Don't think you have to learn every single one. Just pick one. So we're going to, let's start, I don't want to start with open strings. So let's just start right here where it's real comfortable for the hand. 7th position. So we're going to be basically right around here, 7th position. Okay. I'm going to turn that down so you can see my hand a little bit better. All right. So here goes. So the idea for this exercise is to make it kind of really square and have two lines going on at the same time. Melody, right? Because melodic approach, right? And harmony or bass line. I'm thinking more like, not really. It's a bass melody. So you have the high melody and the low melody. Okay, and so my bass line is I'm gonna choose from whatever I can grab, but usually I'm gonna try to make it root third. So for example, in the A minor chord, root third, right, and then the D minor chord, and then the G chord, and then C chord. Now here we're moving to the 7th, so I'll put that in there because that really helps us, our ear, hear that we're kind of modulation there. Okay, and then you get, and then again there's a modulation here. So those notes are going to bring out those changes. So anyways, here's the melody and the bass line. All right. It's got that suspended sound, and then this is suspended. It's a delayed resolution. And we're back to the beginning. So we're just going to do the A section. So that's how that sounds there. I did get a little lower in the octaves because you kind of, I'm forcing myself. That's a good thing. So the reason that I force myself, and the reason that this is good, is the melody's always going. So we're always hearing that. We're always making choices based on it. And then secondly, it's forcing my fingers to come up with new ways of playing, not just like, hey, here's a G chord, here's a C chord, here's an A minor chord, etc. Okay? We're picking voicings and things that we might not have thought about before. Kind of like what I was talking about when I first started this video, and I was just kind of playing one note after the other. It's still that process, in a way. So then the next spot was right here. So let's see if we can do that. Fifth position. I want to go back to here, but I'm not going to. So, all right, so we got through that one, and you see, I'm learning as we go because I'm figuring out new ways to play these things myself. So, and that's kind of cool, and put myself in that box, that parameter that I have to stay in, and force my fingers to do new things. And I'm just doing 2 lines, just doing melody. That's a line, a melody line, and the bass line. That's also a melody. Okay. Sometimes I'm leaving the bass out if I can't get anything because I'm out of guitar space. But for the most part, I'm trying to stick true to the lesson. So same thing here. So, no, I don't really like that chord as a jazz chord. It's good for rock and roll, but I'm like, once again, I'm making these because I'm forcing myself to be in that position. I wouldn't normally play it like that, but anyways, it's good though. You never know if you want to play like this, really. Now I'm back to this position, which does use the open strings. I'll do it here. dramatic walking bass line there. And this is the kind of things that you're going to start to figure out yourself by doing this. Okay, so there's this position. I'm like up here in this position. F. Yeah, B minor. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And then I was trying to get back to that chord that I liked. So, I've played this chord before, but, I haven't played it in this particular tune, in that particular position. I just like the way that sounds. And then back on. So I'm now just kind of playing with those changes and I went from this position to this position to this position. Now I was going to work my way back, but I think that's enough for today. It's putting the approaching guitar and improvisation more correctly, or putting things in the right order. Our esteemed predecessor, Jim Hall, many guys and gals solos sound the same. They play on the chord changes rather than improvise on the tune itself. The melody gives you just all that much more to play off. So keep that melody in mind. Always keep the melody high on your priority list.